Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Taylor of Taylor Lynn Crochet, and today is part 3 of my market vlog, and it is for my spring market, my St. Patrick's Day market. If you want to see the first 2 parts of this market, you'll have to go back. I'll link them both below in the bio. The first one is just like my pre-market stuff, so I talk about what I'm bringing to my market, why I'm bringing it to my market. I think I even touch on how much to bring to my market. Stuff like that. So if that's something you're getting ready for a market and you're kind of wondering, or you just are curious about what getting ready for a market is like, you can go check that video out. The second video is actually like at the market. It, I believe, is me setting up a little bit during the market and then me breaking down after the market. And then obviously this part is a recap of how my market went, everything that went well, things that didn't go well, and just basically what I learned from doing this market. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more market videos like this, definitely subscribe. I do a lot of crochet tutorials, I have adding machine tutorials, I have tagging videos, I have all kinds of stuff that is business and craft related. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, definitely hit that subscribe button. And you can follow me on Instagram at Taylor Lynn Crochet. I do giveaways there. That's where all my giveaways are hosted. Yeah, I'm on Instagram more than any other platform. I bet I post my stories almost every day, so if you're kind of curious like what my everyday life is like or behind the scenes of my business, that's definitely a place you want to check out. And then also you guys can always head to my blog. I'll have this video on there, and I usually do a little bit of a write-up for every video I post, so if that's something you're interested in, you can just check out the links below on that. So this market was on Sunday of this previous weekend. It was the St. Patrick's Day market, and it was a 4-hour market, 5 hours. It had 1 hour of like a VIP shopping where people paid a little bit extra and they got to come in an hour early and shop. And that was basically so if people wanted to shop in a less crowded environment, they could. And then it was 4 hours after that. I think the actual market went from the VIP hour was 2 to 3 p.m. and then 3 to 7 p.m. was the total market. And basically overall it wasn't that great. I didn't have a lot of sales. There were a decent amount of people that came through, but if you checked out my market video, then you know that I was kind of in a corner. I had bought 2 booth spaces and I was in a corner, which all the other people who bought 2 booth spaces were also in the other corners, but my corner was the only corner that didn't have someone like this way next to me. I only had people next to me this way, and then there were people in the middle. I can probably pull up some kind of diagram and show you guys what I'm talking about, or you can just check out my last video. But basically people were coming around and going like down the aisles and shopping the shops on this side and shopping the shops on this side, and they get to the corner and my booth would be over here and they would just beeline right around the corner. So a lot of people like looked at my booth from afar, but they didn't actually come into my booth. So I think that was a little bit of it. I do have mostly women's wear. I don't really have anything that I saw that is necessarily targeted towards men besides my bonfire beanies. Those are unisex beanies, but I only have pictures of me wearing them and other girls wearing stuff. So I did have a guy friend take photos in my bonfire beanies, so maybe I will print one of those out and put some of those up next time as well. But yeah, it didn't really sales wise go that well. It was a long day. It felt long, but when you're not making that many sales, the markets do tend to seem long. My boyfriend sat with me the whole time, which is really sweet of him, and he is so encouraging. He kept going, oh, your booth is so pretty, this is the best booth setup you've ever done, and I can't believe no one's buying stuff. Like, he was so great. But this was kind of an experiment to see if I was ever gonna do another spring market, because a lot of you probably know my very first market ever was a spring market and I made $60. Like, it was horrible. And that was the first market I did, and it was almost the last market I did. But Ashley of Hello Ash and Ivy said that she did a market with Merchant and Makers, and it was like the most amazing market she's had to date, and it was so well set up, and they did a great job of getting people there that I tried a merchant makers market next time they had one, and it was amazing. It was in the fall, it was outdoors. Outdoor markets are my favorite to do because I love having my tent. I like being able to hang things from the side of my tent. I like having my sides up. I love that it acts like a giant light box. Like, I seriously love my outdoor markets in my tent. So that was amazing, and that inspired me to do even more markets with them. I did their holiday market, and I decided, since they were having a spring market, that I would try this one out too. And I would say, like, it's kind of like a known thing that Crochet does not normally, like Crochet knitwear doesn't really sell that great in the spring. But since I sell so many summer tops, and I sell these drifter vests, I'll put a picture up here, the drifter vest, and just like my rover bags, there's a rover bag, just stuff like that. So I thought maybe I could try it out and see how it goes, and maybe I do great, maybe not. The people who come to these merchant maker markets are people who are like wanting to shop handmade. They're willing to pay for handmade. So I had increased my prices before going to this event. I don't think that my price increase from where it was before at their holiday market was like a factor. Like, I feel very confident in my prices. I feel comfortable at the prices I was at. But I do think people are more willing to spend before Christmas because they kind of justify things. Oh, I'll get this for so-and-so, and I'll get this for so-and-so, and she'll love it, she'll love it. And they don't necessarily overthink buying something. And then now, since it's springtime, Marie Kondo is like trending. Everyone's cleaning out their stuff. They're being a little bit more selective about what they bring home with them. Maybe their New Year's resolution was to stop spending money or quit buying things, stuff like that. So I think like all of those factors combined with the fact that I sell knit and crochet wear kind of lowered sales a little bit. You have to think, I mean, it's snowing. There's still snow outside, so this is part of my problem here. It's acting like it's winter out time. It's acting like it's winter time outside, but technically now, right, this week is like the first week of spring. So people were like ready for spring, but it still felt like winter, so maybe they weren't ready to bite the bullet on any spring and or summer wear because it didn't feel like spring, and then they didn't want to spend any money on any winter items because they were hoping winter was gonna go away. So that's something to keep in mind too. My best sellers were towel toppers and scrunchies. So those sold more than anything else, which is great, but they're also low priced items, low cost items. So the profits on those is not much when you sell one towel topper for $9. I think I did 9 or 2 for $16, and everyone who bought one towel bought 2. So it was $8 towels basically. And then scrunchies were $5 each or 2 for $6, and I had some people who bought 2 and some people who just bought 1, so that varied whether I got 2 for $10. Sorry, it was $6 each or 2 for $10. So I either got $6 or $5 for every scrunchie I sold, which is like pretty good profit margin on those because they don't cost that much to make and they don't take much time to make. But I didn't sell as many as I would have liked. Yeah, I just think that it just wasn't a good market for me. I'm not doing any more spring markets. I think that was just like the final nail in the coffin, that spring markets are not for me, and that's totally okay. I love fall markets. This gives me all summer to work on my blog and designs like that. I will still be doing some like table setups for you guys, some tent setups probably, because it's a lot easier for me to do my mock setups and film them when it's nice outside, because then I can actually go outside instead of trying to do it in our house. And hopefully me and my boyfriend will be moving sometime in the next 6 to 8 months, I'm hoping. So with that transition, not doing markets will kind of be a little bit lessened on me, I think. And it just will give me more time for other stuff. But I still love markets. I'm still gonna sign up for couple fall markets, definitely with Merchant and Makers doing they have like an indoor and outdoor fall market, I believe. And then there's one in my local town that I really want to get into, but they're very selective, and it's like this huge festival in my town every year, and I really hope that I get into that. So I loved my display this time. I think this was, like my boyfriend said, like my best market setup to date. I think it helped that I had a 16 foot by 18 foot, or sorry, 16 foot by 8 foot space, but I actually had a little bit more than 16 feet because I was in the corner. Shail, who's the person who does Merchant and Makers, she told me I could just go right to the wall, which added like another 3 to 4 feet to my space. So I got to space everything out. I had a lot of room for people to walk through with their strollers and all of that great stuff, which was really awesome. And obviously just more area to display my items. I loved that. I had my checkout stand. I mean, if you guys have watched my other video, you've seen it was super cute. It was awesome. I was right in front of a window, so some of my film and even the photographs I tried to take didn't really do it justice because the camera kept focusing on the light in the back coming through the window and made all my stuff look really dark. But like in real life, in person, everything looked really bright and clean, which is like kind of the look I go for at my stuff, which was awesome. Yeah, I think some of you may have seen I had this like little spin to win wheel in my Instagram stories. I'll try and share a picture of it. And I made a sign, and the sign is right here. So I had this sign that I set right on my checkout stand right next to my wheel, and it says spin to win, 1 spin per purchase, land into the orange star and win a free scrunchie. So I thought that was pretty self-explanatory. And I guess it wasn't, because I had a few people come up, like older people, and just be like, come talk to me, and like they were just talking. They didn't even look at anything in my booth. They just came up and talked to me, and then they like put their hand on my wheel and they're like, so I can just spin, right? And I'm like, if you buy something. It was really awkward because I had like 3 people do that to me. I had a few people make purchases and I said, oh, you guys can spin to win a free scrunchie if you'd like. And they're like, oh yeah, and then they spin, and the wheel is all like wood color and then black, because it goes like wood, black, all the way around, and then there's one triangle that has, it's orange with a star on it. And they'd get like, land on like a black one, and they'd be like, what do we win? And I'm like, well, nothing, because you didn't land on the orange. And so it was really awkward for me. I think that if I ever do that again, I'm going to make like a giant either letter-sized paper sign, or I don't know, because all the rules are in there. It said 1 spin per purchase, meaning you had to buy something to do it, and the only way you'd win is if you landed on that orange star. So I mean, my boyfriend thought it was funny, and he was like really great about it, but I guess I'm too shy, which it probably doesn't seem like I'm shy to you guys because I talk to you guys all the time, but really I'm sitting in my room talking to my camera right now. So yeah, it just felt a little awkward for me. I do think in theory it was a great idea. Maybe in the future, instead of like winning a free scrunchie or free product, because I think also then people just wanted to win free stuff but not buy anything. Maybe I'll do like, if you get on the black, you get 10% off, and if you land on the orange star, you can get like 30% off 1 item or something along those lines, because that way people can spin before they make a purchase and they get like a coupon or some sort of something, maybe like a coupon for if they buy something off my online shop, which will get them to visit my site, stuff like that. So that might entice people more so than the original idea I had, which I thought was going to be a great idea, and in theory it was, just not in actual reality. Also, I think like if you're doing a spring market, if you've already signed up for one, if you've been thinking about signing up for one, don't let my experience with spring markets deter you. I live in Michigan, so it's a colder climate. Spring, I feel like spring doesn't really last that long. I feel like we go from like snowy gross to like lots of rain to then summer, but also spring starts feeling like summer a lot sooner for us because it was so cold all winter long that when, like yesterday, it was like 50 degrees outside Fahrenheit, and I sat outside for like a half an hour because it's the first time I could sit outside and not shiver and freeze. So 50 feels like 70 to us here. So if you are somewhere where it's warmer, a warmer climate, and it's normal to be warmer, I think that spring markets could be awesome for you because it's still going to be warm in the fall and it's still going to be relatively warm in the winter. So don't let this deter you. I think if I were ever to do another one, I would focus more on smaller projects. Like the scrunchies and towel toppers, like I said, were small, relatively quick projects compared to even my hats and headbands or my tops and stuff like that. I think rover bags would be a great item for markets. I had so many people. I had 2 rover bags sitting, here's one of them, on my mannequin at my market. And I literally, this is fabric that I had, 2 different kinds of fabric. I did 2 red and 1 white, and I braided them together, sewed the ends, sewed them onto these little clips, and put them in my bags. The only thing I think that deterred people was that this didn't have a liner in it. I think if that was lined, it would have done, I think people would have bought them with no hesitation. But I think with us girls, we're always worried about the practicality of a bag. And while rover bags are super cute and they can hold like your sunglasses and phone, they, I mean, and money and credit cards and stuff, just like if you try to stick a pen in there, it might go through, like bobby pins, I don't know. Just people probably feel more secure having a liner. I'm not the best at sewing, but I think the year I sold the rights to this pattern for a year to Sorella when I guest posted this pattern on her blog. But I'll have to check which date I received payment for that, so that when I can post it on my own blog, I'll make sure that I do a sewing tutorial for a liner. And it will be like the most basic sewing tutorial ever, because I can't sew. So like I'm really bad. I have a sewing machine, but like the most basic things is all I can do on it. So I think rover bags with a liner would do so great at markets. Also things like coffee cozies or like the little boot cuffs I've seen. Quick little projects like that I think could sell really well. Southern Day Crochet's little bows that she has the bows that you can like clip them on the back of your bun beanies. Like Ashley of A Crafty Concept does that all the time. It's so cute. But yeah, Southern Day Crochet, she has like a few pictures of her daughter just like clips them right in her hair, like wear your hair half up half down and then just clip a bow in the back. And I think like those and like cotton yarns would be really fun for summertime. I even think getting more into summer, I know I use Molly of White Owl Crochet Co's scrunchie pattern for velvet scrunchies, but I don't know if you guys know this, she actually has one for like worsted weight yarn. So like some really cute cotton scrunchies I think would just kill at a spring or summer market in warmer climates. Even I think if I did a summer market later, I think that would do really well. Okay, so washcloths I think would actually do well. I have a bin of them down there. Washcloths was like the first thing I started making, so I have a lot of them from when I first started crocheting. I have some ones I've knit because I need to get better at knitting, so I've been practicing knitting washcloths. So I think those would actually probably sell really well. A lot of people's grandmas like always made them knit washcloths growing up, and if their grandma has passed away and they have no more new washcloths coming in, a lot of people like love buying them at markets. I think that would be great. Bottle cozies I think would be great. Like I said cup cozies, like coffee cozies, but like Ashley of A Crafty Concept posted one for like a beer bottle, but it's not like a beer bottle. I guess it could be a soda pop bottle on my blog. It's so super cute. I'll put a picture right here. I think those would do really well, and those are pretty quick makes. And then also Ashley's donut keychains are so cute, and I think like that's such a great market idea if you just wanted to whip up a bunch of those. And just like little small things that people could take and that only cost them $10 or less, I think would be great things for spring markets, especially because people are going to be a little bit more cost conscious at that time of year, I feel like, than they are going to be the months before Christmas. But yeah, I think that those are all really great items for you to bring to markets. So overall, I think this was a really great learning experience. I think it was a really great experiment for seeing if I want to do spring markets ever, like again. I think it was great for setting up my items in a larger booth space, and like my boyfriend was pleasantly surprised that I actually had enough product to put over a space that was that big, because he said he felt like I had way less product this time than I normally do when we go to markets, and I usually am dealing with a space that's almost half the size. but he just said like how it looked all laid out once I got everything up. He seemed like it was just the perfect amount of space. So I think that proved to myself that if I ever did like an outdoor market where you have like a huge 10 by 20 foot space, that I could definitely manage that. I definitely think I'll be sticking to the 10 by 10 or 10 by 12 spaces, but if the opportunity ever arose and it felt like a good fit for me, I'm now confident that I can fill that space. I also got to see so many cool vendor setups. There were, at this market, it was all like so trendy and modern, and people had these amazing booth spaces. I hopefully will be able to get some photos that the photographer of our market took, and maybe I can share them with you guys so you can just get like a idea of how beautiful these people's setups were and just their products were. There were a lot of like handmade soap sellers. There were people who made these plant vases out of concrete, and then they would paint them like the top would be the concrete color and the bottom would be like hot pink, and they were like all these geometric shapes, and they would have like little succulents in them. People were selling air plants. People were selling these super chic like boho clothes, and just tons of amazing stuff. I can't say like enough good things about all the other amazing vendors were there. I hope that they had a great day in sales. There were quite a few people who came through, so I would imagine that at least a few people had to do super well at this market. But I now feel really inspired to create more of my setup props, I guess, because a lot of my stuff besides my crates are like my rolling racks are bought from Walmart. They were 10 bucks for 2 of them, and then I have one that I got at a Yonkers closing sale. And just like all of my stuff is basically store-bought, so I feel a little bit more inspired to build my own. There was a girl next to me who had this awesome checkout stand, and it was made of wood. It was clearly like handmade. And so I guess what I want to ask you guys is if you're interested in some DIY market prop tutorials on my channel, because my boyfriend and me got a saw for Christmas from his parents, and we have big plans to make a bunch of stuff, and I will film all of that, how we make it and the measurements of everything, if that's something you guys are interested in, because I know not everybody has money to go out and just buy all these props. I mean, rolling racks for 10 bucks are pretty cheap, but like these boxes right here were like $10 a box. So if you buy 16 of them, that's $160. It gets really expensive. So you might be able to get free wood from somewhere. You might be able to deconstruct wooden pallets for free, because people have those free on Craigslist all the time. Stuff like that. So if I make some stuff like that, if you guys are interested in that, leave a comment below and let me know that you'd like to see that. Otherwise, I won't bother taping it and editing the film, because YouTube videos take a lot of time. The filming part is pretty short. It's just all of the editing and splicing everything together and getting it perfect and ready to go, and then uploading it online with the rate at which my internet goes is a very long process. Let's see. Yeah, I think that about covers it. If you guys see my Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen my stories the other day that I brought all of the props from the truck when I unloaded it and put them all in my craft room. I watched a YouTube video a long time ago on markets, and I don't remember who it was by, and I've heard this advice from multiple people who said when you have market props, whether that be like your tables, your shelves, your rolling racks, do not use those items in your everyday life. Like, do not use your yarn storage shelf for your market prop, because when you do that, you're gonna have to rip all of your yarn off your shelf. You're gonna throw it all over your floor. When you get back from a market, you're gonna have to put everything back, and it's just a mess, and it's already like a lot to unload your truck and unload all of your stuff. And for a year and a half, that's what I did. I unloaded everything and I put it in a corner in a room. I put it in my garage. I folded it up somewhere and hid it away. And I never used it. I would pull it out the 4 times a year that I would do markets, and besides that, it sat in a corner somewhere hogging up space. So this time when I was bringing everything in, because my boyfriend works out of town, so he normally unloads the truck for me, like bless him for doing that. He normally does, which is awesome. But I started bringing it in, and my mom's storage room downstairs was getting a little cramped with a lot of my stuff, and I said, you know what, I think I can probably fit some of that in my craft room. Like, let me go up there and check it out. And I ended up putting these crates all up around my desk. I ended up doing some crates over here. I'll show you guys in a second. And basically, the thought process I have behind it is the items that are sitting in this storage shelf now that I built out of my crates are all stuff for my market. So it's all stuff that I'm going to have to pack into a box or crate or put into the truck when I go do my next market anyways. Therefore, these shelves will be empty, and then I can just stack them all back up and throw them in the truck as well. So I think as long as I don't start storing like yarn and like use it as like storage for my craft room supplies, it's not going to be a big deal because everything on here has to come with me anyways. And so I think, like, if you think of it that way, that your props for your market can be used as storage for items for your market, that would be great. I've seen some people who use their shelves and stuff like that to display their finished items, and those are the finished items that they would be bringing to markets with them. But it's a great way to get some great photos of your products. It's a great way to keep your space organized and neat. It's a great way that you don't have to just put all of your stock into tubs and never see it until you do another market. You might have them sitting in your craft room and feel inspired to try some different colors. You might feel inspired to use that same yarn you made your scarf with and make something else with it. Overall, I just think it does no harm to have it out. I think it actually benefits, but anyway, I went off on a tangent there. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to see more videos like it, definitely subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you want to read more about markets and stuff like that, you can head to my blog. My blog will be linked below. For every YouTube video I do, okay, 99% of the YouTube videos I do, there is some kind of write-up that goes along with it that I post on my blogs. Sometimes it's just recapping the important things that I talk about in my videos. Sometimes it's additional information that I maybe forgot when I was filming, and I said people might want to know that. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can check those out. Also, I have tons of free patterns on my blog. Summer patterns, sweater patterns, home decor patterns, all of that stuff. So definitely check that out there. And like I said, Instagram is where I'm at the most. So if you want to know more about my daily life, that's where you should look. And yeah, I think that's it. So thanks so much, guys. Till next time. That awkward moment when you say, I'm gonna show you what my setup looks like, and then you don't show anyone what your setup looks like. So I'll do that right now. So basically, that is my rolling rack. That is my shelving unit. Those are all literally props for my thing. Here's me in the mirror. And then this is my desk. So that desk I leave in here, but these boxes I bring with me. And then I have this shelf, which is an IKEA shelf that we never actually ended up hanging up on the wall anywhere because we painted almost every room in our house a variation of a shade of gray. And then we bought a gray shelf and gray furniture and gray everything. And then we realized that if the gray does not exactly match the shade of gray you're trying to put it on the wall, it doesn't look that great. So I have it in here. It looks great. And then that's all like my signage for my market, and that's more signage and scrunchies. And that's my little bins for my checkout stand. That I had scrunchies displayed on. That I had scrunchies displayed on. Those little lights are my fairy lights for my market. And then I also have this. This is like the messy side of my craft room. And you're like, Taylor, why do you have a rolling rack over that table? I actually have a little clamp right here that I can clamp on that will hold my camera, and I can do overhead filming so that when I film crochet tutorials for you guys, that is where I would do it. And it takes up less space than my camera backdrop would on foot-wise, because my camera backdrop has a base like this light does where it's 3 prongs, which I'm always tripping over when I leave it set up in my craft room, versus this is just much cleaner and easier to walk around. Both of the table and the clothing rack are from my last market setup as well. And then obviously the mannequin was with me at my market too. So like I said, I would have to take all of this with me anyways, and I think it looks nice and I just like it. And I think I'll get more use out of all of my stuff this way, especially if I'm not doing any more spring markets, because I'll have all the way until fall. But thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.